performers from far and wide talking.
Dr. Michael Light. Now your host, Tony Burnett.
Every Saturday, tune in at 4.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Mind Over Matters. My name is Tommy Burnett, and I will be your host for the next hour. Yay! Why? We have a wonderful studio audience. Let's take a look at them now. Everyone can say hi if you want to. Yay, hello Facebook. And now back to me, the handsome young man that I am. Yeah, so a lot of people have been asking why am I doing another podcast. And the only answer is because people have been asking me to. I honestly wasn't planning on it, but anyone who remembers Magic and Mysticism, I had the opportunity to talk to all of these wonderful people at some point during my tenure as the host of Magic and Mysticism. And as you can see, there are a lot of unbelievable performers here. And tonight is absolutely no exception whatsoever. Tonight we have we all know him, we all love him. He's a great performer, he's an author, he's a musician, and he's an illustrator, he's a graphic designer. He does it all. He does it all. And we're going to delve into the mind of my next guest. Please help me welcome Dr. Michael Leakey.
Thank you so much, Tommy, for that wonderful introduction. How can I live up to that? I don't know.
As far as I'm concerned, you do it every day. So, you know, I'm just calling it like it is, right? But thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate that. And I gotta see if I can turn off those notifications. Anyway, yeah, so I know most everyone here in the studio knows you, but why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and let people on the blog of Facebook and hopefully YouTube, when I put it up there later, who you are and what you do.
Wow, seriously? Where do I begin? That's a huge question.
Yeah.
And my wife would say he's very good at talking about himself, so let him
Oh,
have
good.
it.
And I can take a break.
Uh, at this point in my life, which is I'm almost 68 years old. I'll be 68 if my wife lets me, July 20th, in just a few weeks. And wow. At this point in my life, I'm not schlepping magic props around, which I used to. My background is graphic design. I went to college back home in Montreal for it. I took 2 years of graphic design, 1 year of commercial arts. And right after finishing, I jumped right into that whole advertising thing. And if you're from Montreal or New York, it's very much like Mad Men, like that TV series Mad Men. So that whole ad scene back, I guess it was the 70s. Then it wasn't the 60s, it was the 70s when I finished college. It was like that. And typical, when I was doing freelance, I'd have many, many interviews. I'd phone hundreds of people a day, hundreds of companies a day. And then I'd go down for my interview and look, and there'd be like 100 people in the waiting room. So that's typical of a large city, of a big city, versus another town or city I moved to many years later where the competition wasn't as great. But I continued for many years doing graphic design and cartooning, my first love, Tommy. That was really how I learned how to draw. I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old in the hospital having my tonsils and adenoids out. And there was a chalkboard, the famous chalkboard. and I drew the Flintstones, and all the other kids that were there, they could recognize it, and the nurses were all impressed. And it's like, but this is what I do. This is what I do. I wouldn't say that, it's kind of like, yeah, so I can also draw Batman and Superman. I used to trace them until I perfected that, and eventually made it into a career of graphic design because my father always said, you need a trade. Michael, we're Jewish, right? Michael, you need a trade. So it became graphic design, and I loved it. I got to eventually draw a syndicated comic strip. At the time, it was the only Canadian syndicated comic strip. It was called Winnie Witch and the Giant Potato. And my
Oh,
boss
wow.
was a big stickler for Disney. He was a big Disney fan. He had the hugest collection of Disney stuff in North America. There were a lot of articles written about him, and he was my boss. And I learned animation that way on the job, and cartooning, and what a thrill that was. What a great opportunity. I went on to do editorial cartoons for many papers, not completely across Canada, but in Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg. As soon as I moved to Vancouver, boom, it all stopped. But that's a whole other story. In any case, with that, parallel to that, I was loving magic. I know this is relevant to our theme here, but I
Yeah, a little
all
bit, a little bit, a little bit.
and just a wee bit, mind over magic. How does this all relate? I don't know. But as a young kid of 5 or 6 years old, I used to love monster magazines. I'm sure most of us out there remember Monsters of Filmland, that monster magazine. And
Mm.
I ordered my first one and got it in the mail. I feverishly, like we do with magic, right? I feverishly opened up the envelope, and there was this full color, gorgeous magazine with pictures of Frankenstein and Dracula, and not only the Universal creatures, but also the Hammer, the British ones. And there was something I loved. Something that intrigued me and moved me, and I don't know why, but I could relate to it, particularly Dracula, Bela Lugosi, and Chris Lee for some reason. But
Mm.
also parallel to that was magic, my love of magic. Growing up in Montreal, we had many magic shows on TV every day. Well, we got the Magic Land of Alakazam, which was Mark Wilson from the US, of course. But we also had a local magician, and here comes where I got my name from, Magic Tom Auburn. And he had a show 6 days a week. On the Saturday, it was in French because we kind of have to be bilingual if you're from Montreal. And
Mhm.
his props intrigued me as well. I remember we'd call it the mutilated parasol. He did that many times on his TV show, and there was something tactile or really neat that I loved about it. And all his props, he had like a little vase, and he'd make candy. It would be empty, and then candy would appear. And I loved that. I didn't realize that one day I would have very, very similar props and perform for hundreds of thousands of children and families down the road. So that was a little bit of my formative years. And you fast forward to when I'm about 14 years old, and guess who's on TV? The amazing Kreskin. The
Mm.
amazing Kreskin. I still love him. I think he's in his 90s, but the man's a
Yeah.
genius. And I already had a few trick decks. That's all I'm going to say, because I know we have some lay people, some non-magicians in our audience. Um,
What a trick. I've never heard of that before.
what? I feel like a Svengali, and
Mm.
so you can mark my
I feel
words.
like a stripper.
Uh, yes, and so I was able to look at Kreskin shows and figure out some of those effects. I think I said tricks. That's a no-no. And one of my first ones was wild card, an effect where there's a number of cards and they all become all the same of another card. I saw him do that and I thought, wait a second, I can do this. And because I had books at that point and certain other things that I needed. And the Rising cards I just did the other day, I think on either Open Mic or Tuesday Night Magic, was one of my favorites. I saw Kreskin do that as well. So that inspired my mind reading or mentalism or thought reading, if you will. But as I grew older, I got into guitar in my late teens. I loved Cat Stevens. I still, well, I haven't in a little while, but I own several guitars and did a few gigs in Montreal, singing and playing. Some people either hate my stuff and they cringe and they they block their ears, or they dig me. They either like me or they hate my music, and it's whatever. It's just a thing to share. I'm just hoping you don't have a clip of me singing the Just Say No song or Puff the Magic Dragon a little later. That's embarrassing from my TV show. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, but I did want to talk about that because I actually I am going to play a clip from that show, um, the one where you do the have. Well, first of all, I really like the fact that you have. I didn't realize it was a kids show,
yes,
and it was geared towards kids, and I really liked how you had puppets and music. You played guitar and you did your cartoons. Um, I think it's pretty. I mean, back in 1970, that was well, yeah, I'm sorry, 1980 and 1990s. That was a good fit. Um, and you can probably still make it play today. But I really thought you did a really good job with it. And I think at this point we're going to play a clip of you doing. You have a puppet select a card, and then you do something magical as always. So here is Dr. Michael and his magic castle.
Oh, hi everyone. Welcome back to the castle again this week. We have the return of Scott Birkin to do a trick. We have some new Oh, hey, Dusty, how are you this week?
I'm fine. You have a new trick for us this week?
As a matter of fact, I do. I was just telling the boys and girls about it. We'll set you over here, and maybe we'll call on Desmond and Forgetful to help with this one. We'll see.
Oh, hey, Wiz, how's it going?
Forgetful, I'm over here.
Oh,
There I am.
Hey, that's you.
This is me. This is me.
Oh, hey, Wiz, but I thought this was you.
No, this is big and round, very large and dark, and
Oh, could be your brother, I guess. Eh?
I'm wondering if you don't need maybe glasses. Do you need glasses?
Oh, no, I think I need more rest.
Oh, probably. There he goes. Let's see if Desmond is here. Hey, there's Desmond and his cool shades.
Yeah, my chocolate bar sunglasses. Here, take a whiff.
That's Scratch and Sniff, eh?
Yeah, take a whiff. Go ahead.
Oh, that's great. That's
good,
like,
eh?
yeah, it smells just like a candy bar.
Mhm.
That is really, really good. Well, I'm going to need your help, maybe Forgetful's help as well with this,
Oh, you crazy man.
with this new one. We'll see. Yeah, we'll do this one. We'll do this one. Most likely. Now we're
Are
going...
you not sure of this?
Well, it's a new one, so we're going to try this out. We're going to use several props. We're going to use, first of all, a deck of playing cards.
A deco playing card.
A deck of playing cards. There should be 52, and I don't think there's a joker in there, though. Nope, no joker. All right, deck of playing cards. We're also going to use a little glass. We're going to use little clips like that, little
A little
clippers.
glass. A little clips.
And we're also going to use these little blank cards. have in
And some
here.
little blank cards.
That's right, little blank cards. Now let's see, we'll work this way. We'll take the clips. Now this is very special blank paper that we have in there. It's special light sensitive and magic sensitive paper. So we've
So you
got
don't want to get no fingerprints on there.
That's right. That's why we've got to use these special clips. Let's see if Magic Mike can grab a hold of one of them. There we go. We'll pull this one out like so. This is the one we'll work with. So I just want to stress, it's light sensitive. Blank on both sides. What we're going to do is place this one down over here. We're going to put the little glass on that blank card, the card that's blank on both sides.
Yep, the little glasses on top of that blank card, blank on both sides.
Blank on both sides. Very important that we stress that. Now I'm going to get Forgetful. We'll get you to say stop. And that's how he's going to select a card from this deck of cards. So, can you say stop as I riffle through the deck? he fell asleep again.
Hey, wake up, come here.
There we go, because the boys and girls are going to get bored.
Oh, with
Let alone Magic
stop
Mike.
as you riffle through the deck.
Right there. Not this one now, but this one will show everybody the card he set stop at is the four of spades. Now we have to really think, really concentrate on this one. And we're going to picture the black
Orange juice, orange juice.
and the four
Orange juice.
that has a
What are you
peel.
doing?
And now,
Oh, I'm concentrating.
if we move over
Orange
here,
juice, orange juice, orange juice.
we'll remove the little glass, and we'll show that that card that was blank on both sides is no longer blank on both sides, but now in fact carries the impression of the four of spades.
Wow!
Like so. There we
That's
go.
mind-boggling.
Kind of different, isn't
Oh, hey, Wiz, that was simply bodacious.
it? And thank you, boys and girls at home, for helping with your magic. I'll take
That's
this away.
amazing.
There we
I
go.
couldn't believe that.
That's a new effect.
Oh.
I love those puppets. Bodacious.
I was very lucky in those days that his name is Daryl Scarrett. He worked both puppets, and in fact, during the course of that show, that was circa 1991, by the way. He created a number of other characters as well, puppets, but those two, Desmond and Forgetful, were the most popular and still are to this day. We recorded that show. It ran, the season was nine years. But really there was 3 different shows over the 9 years. There was Kitty Cabaret, where I'm sort of not a ringleader, a ringmaster, and I do magic tricks, but I'm surrounded by clowns, colorful clowns, and there's a clown college skit and all this. And eventually it morphed. If you read my bio, you'll understand why. A Man for All Seasons is the name of the book. Look it up on Amazon. In any case, it morphed into this show, Magic Mike's Castle, because I always loved the medieval thing. And I, of course, painted the sets and the props. And it was almost like do-it-yourself television. It aired on Cable 11 in Winnipeg, Videon. And we just had a blast. The original concept between you and me and our audience, but I'm sure people can guess that, it was kind of like a Letterman-esque thing. I mean, there was a lot of adult jokes in there that the adults would get, but the kids loved it as well. But really, I'm mocking kid shows, but it I don't know if that came across. It probably came across as a very straight kid show. Of course, I was influenced by a show called Friendly Giant, which took place in a castle and he had puppets. And Mr. Dressup, another Canadian show, very similar in a way. And an American show, you may remember Mr. Rogers. So I love these shows. I watched these shows as adults, not as a kid. Oh, and Reading Rainbow. I loved LeVar Burton and that show as well. So we try to encourage. Yeah. Oh, I love that. You remember. You remember. So that was good. That was really the influence, was all of that, because it was my, actually not even childhood, my adulthood, but I'm kind of mocking in a way, but it was a very good-natured thing. The adult jokes hopefully were not recognizable by the kids, and the kids on the street, they would yell and throw things at me. No, they would yell, Magic Mike, Magic Mike. Yeah, great fun. I was very lucky. Plus, the agents took advantage of that in a good way for me. That was my gimmick in Winnipeg, Canada for 9 years. And I was very lucky lucky to have that show. I was the producer, but we also had it was a full studio. So we had what we call switchers. So they'd switch from this camera to the other camera and all that. I
Mm-hmm.
had to do a rundown sheet, which was fascinating because each of the segments would be broken down in minutes and all that sort of thing. That was
Sure.
great fun. 9 years of that. Then I switched the theme a little bit and made it in present day castle, simply because, not that I didn't love the costumes, but at the time I began guesting on a show called Skittlebits with Joey. Joey was a Juno Award winner. Juno is the equivalent to the Grammys in Canada.
Okay.
And I convinced him to put me on his show, doing caricatures, doing magic. And I was very lucky that had a huge audience. It was broadly seen down in the States. So that would be Fargo and Grand Forks and adjacent provinces. It's true. Saskatchewan, Ontario, and all of that. So I was very lucky to have Joey accept me to be on his show as well. So yes, because his show took place in modern day and in a modern day attic, I thought, well, I'd be stupid. I'd feel stupid to show up in a medieval costume in present day in his present day attic. So I decided his show is really important. It's a good break for me. So I dressed a little too much like Copperfield and would come on his show once a week, every week for about a year or two, and changed a little bit the look of my TV show to accommodate his. So that's the story behind the TV shows, which ended finally. I'm sure all the audiences and people still remember me in Winnipeg for that show, Poor People. I'm sure they were happy to see that show finally end in 94, June 1994. And a lot of things got tied up then and decided, okay, had enough of minus 40 and minus 40 wind chill. Let's move to a part of Canada, unbeknownst to the rest of Canada, that has moderate temperatures, i.e.,
Mm-hmm.
no snow.
Mm.
That's how I ended up in Vancouver.
Wow.
So, yeah, back in September 94. What month are we? It'll be exactly 30 years, September, in a couple of months, that I've
Wow.
moved out here.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. So much has happened since, of course, since I landed. Um, I came over on the Mayflower to Vancouver. No, there's movers that are called Mayflower, so I use that joke
Oh
often.
yeah, sure. Yeah, we have
Right?
Mayflower. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was quite an adventure because everything I was used to doing for years, animation, cartooning, singing, graphic design, magic, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this because I'm very grateful. Um, I won't give the amount, but the TV show allowed me and my agents to get top dollar for me. I come out to Vancouver and it's like there's only two working magicians. Well, there's a lot of magicians, a wonderful community, but there's not a lot of opportunity. You would think that there would be, and I never visited Vancouver. I probably should have. And I came out here and it's like, oh dear, there's no work for graphic designers. There's no work cartooning. No, what's that? Not what's that, but they were using syndicated comics by the cartoonists
Right.
and
Right.
and magic shows. Wow. In some instances, I'm going to say this in retrospect, as a joke, but it really happened. I'd have people phoning me from corporations asking me to pay them to do a show. And nowhere in North America, I've been all over North America with my stuff. I've never encountered that before in my life. I've been approached by magazines for me to pay to have articles in their paper. And it's like, are you kidding me? So I don't understand that. I still don't understand that mindset. I probably never will. I miss every day, and I'm going to say that the East. I miss Winnipeg. I miss Toronto. I miss Montreal. I know New York because my family, half my family is from there. But I'm so thankful several years ago for discovering this venue, if you will, which enables me to be seen globally from the comfort of my home. I'm very grateful.
Yeah,
stopped
well,
talking now.
I'll tell you, we're grateful for you. Um, we think you're a national treasure. Uh, uh, I'm very grateful to be able to call you my friend. And before we get any mushier, and these are all out of order now. We're going to take a little break, and I'm going to offer a thing off of my website for free, including free postage worldwide. If someone can answer a trivia question, and the trivia question is, see if I can find this. Okay, so this magician used to hum loudly instead of using an orchestra while performing tricks that often failed. Who was the man often credited with inventing comedy magic? I would say probably in America, probably somebody different in the UK. So put your answers in the chat, and whoever puts the right answer in first will get one of these absolutely free, and will be right after me. Oh, I'm getting so many messages. Sorry. What am I trying to do? Okay, there we go. We're gonna remove him for a second, and here.
Mind Over Magic is sponsored by The Magic Taboo Magic Shop. For unique magic and mentalism, visit www.themagictaboo.com.
That we don't want. So we're going to clear these by giving them a little wipe with the chalk, and then rub that in, and that will keep the bad juju, if you will, from affecting what we're going to do today. And so that's one right there. And then we'll do the same thing with the next one. And we'll just rub that all the way in. And the same on the other side. And basically what we're going to do here is try and get a message from the spirit of the universe about a place, just by thinking in a higher vibration, if you will. So we now have 4 clear slates, and hopefully no negative vibrations. I want you to imagine, Jill, in your mind, that each one of these has a big number written on it. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I want you to imagine picking 2 of these slates up and handing them to me which two would you pick up and hand to me?
The two end ones.
So 1 and 4. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll take those and put them with the bag. And that leaves us with the two remaining ones. And what I normally would say here is that I'm going to call out to the universe, asking the universe to bring us a universal truth or positive message, and hopefully it will appear inside the slates, okay? And we'll both think Spirit of the Universe give us a sign, give us a message. You don't have to close your eyes, but you can if you want. Oh!
Ooh,
Wow.
be careful what you wish.
I know, I just felt like a spark. Wow, this is. Says love to all. I think it's a wonderful message. Thank you, Jill, for helping me there. All right. So, during that, we got 4 answers from people in the audience. I'm not sure if anybody on Facebook put in any answers. I don't think so, but let's take a look and see. No. So, Simon said Billy McComb. Al gave 2 answers, Mantrano, and then Andrew said Roy Benson, and Al said Carla Valentine, and the answer I was looking for was Carla Valentine, who happens to be one of my inspirations for being funny. Al said he never hummed, but I've seen clips where he did hum. So I say yes he did. But Al, as far as I'm concerned, you won. So if you want to DM me your address, I will mail it to you absolutely for free. And please recommend the Magic Taboo to all of your magic friends. And now let's go back to talking with our friend Dr. Michael Leckie. Let's bring him back right here. Yay!
Yeah, I love that effect you did with the slates. It's one of my favorite. I don't know if it's Al Baker or who, I forget. I used to know, but as you know,
Yeah, it's by a guy named Dr. Daly.
Dr. Daly, that's right. That's right. I
Yeah,
should know. It's the
yeah.
name of the effect. I should know.
And truth be told, I just made a prop. I didn't make up the effect. Dr. Daly did. And you can find the effect in the book Practical Mental Effects by Theodore Animan. Well, he compiled it. And it's a really great effect. I know you do it using bigger slates. I
Yes.
I wanted a pocket-sized one. It comes in a really nice burlap bag, and I'll show you I mean, I know you've seen it, but
I love that
anyone
feature that you could carry it in your pocket. It's so
yeah,
cool.
exactly. If you don't want to use a bag, you just tuck them away. I like putting them in a bag. It gives it a little bit of a mystery to it. And the only thing that is not supplied is a piece of chalk, but it's easy to find. You get a whole box of them for $1, like a dollar store or a pound store. So yeah, Al, congratulations. Thank you for putting your address in there. I will mail this out to you probably on Monday. Okay? So congratulations. And the other answers were great, but as far as I know, that monitor was given to Colorado Bank. Anyway, I could be wrong. I've only been doing this for 50 years. Anyway, not this, but, magic. Anyway, Dr. Michael, what got you into doing bizarre magic? Because I know you like doing that nowadays. Yeah, what got you into doing bizarre stuff? So you said you wouldn't be in your normal bizarre garb tonight. So yeah.
I did that on purpose too. So it really it was kind of an evolution. And I'm glad you asked me that question because a lot of folks from Winnipeg, Canada, they know me from the video that you showed from my show. And I did, oh wow, about 250 shows a year for about a dozen years in Winnipeg. That's a lot of shows and a lot of exposure. So they still remember me looking like what you showed.
Right.
And
Right.
when I've gone back a couple of times in the last 10 years to Winnipeg to do book signings, they remember me. They know the voice for some reason. I don't think my voice is particularly special, but people seem to think it is, or they, anyway, they recognize me now for my voice. It's an evolution. I loved always creepy things. I loved always scary things, as I mentioned earlier. And it was around the time I auditioned at the for the Magic Circle. That was during lockdown. It was a time when we weren't flying. We had to stay in our homes, and thank goodness for Zoom, because I did my audition, my initial one, and then there's another one you do, which was totally nerve-wracking for me. That was my own issues. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because it's true. I'm not nervous doing magic anymore. I love it. I feel like I'm sharing tricks. I'm going to say tricks, illusions and stuff with people. It comes from my heart in a way. But I've never felt so nervous as my Magic Circle audition. But everything leading up to it, there is a reason why I'm sharing this. There is a reason for it. Was what effect or effects to do. So I went back. This was less than 5 years ago, probably 3 years ago was my audition. I don't remember. I went back. Something said cups and balls. And that's also partially because Prince Charles, now King Charles, there's a famous picture of him with his cups and balls in front of the Magic Circle logo and all that. So I felt I should go traditional in some way. And I had a 2-cup routine, which I've done on those 2 shows, I believe, Open Mic and or Tuesday Night Magic. And it was for me, a difficult routine created by Gary Willett of the Camerand Academy from the 90s. And so I had to relearn it. I hadn't touched it since the 90s. And as I'm practicing that particular routine, by the way, I did 2 other routines for the audition, but that was the main one, the showpiece, if you will. I started to get messages, which for me is not unusual. It might sound kind of wonky, but I get these ideas and these messages, inspiration, if you will. Do or use Walt Disney music. And I thought, what? from my animation training, which was Disney, Walt Disney-esque, we learned that there's ups and downs, just like a story or a play. So it starts off with punch, then it valleys, then it builds again. And no one else is a master of emotions, roller coaster emotions, than Disney and his music. So I wouldn't be allowed, I wouldn't think, to use Disney music. So I got royalty-free music online and tried out a few things. But as I'm doing that, I'm picturing a genuine castle. I'm picturing England from the 1800s and all the trappings that you and I love, and other bizarrists or mentalists as well love. And something stuck. So in my head, I'm virtually looking like this, auditioning with a plain background, because I was advised just use a plain background, nothing fancy. And I got the word a month or two later. I got the phone call, a famous magician. I forget his name right now. He's British. You're in, Michael. So that was the start of a certain feel. I know this is a bit intangible to explain, but I think you'll get it. A feel for old things again. I hadn't had that feel, not just me because I am old, but a feel for old English castles and the wind and the dust and Dracula and all these sorts of things. And then I came across, I'm a big fan. It's funny you mentioned Ted Animan earlier. That was one of my first books, was Practical Mental Effects by Ted Animan. I was 14 years old and just learning a lot of other stuff. And I just happened to thumb through it. And there was the cephalalgia, that's the proper pronunciation, cephalalgia, which essentially means headache. I think it's Latin for headache. The spelling was changed because of the magician who created that effect, Stuart James. So he added in the two letters from his first and last name in the cephalalgia. And the cephalalgia, I'm not doing this. No, I don't want to plug this book right now. But on the cover of one of my books, on the cover of one of my books is a cephalalgia that I built myself. So it's a little oblong cabinet with a drape that goes across it to close it, and a skull that sits on top, and neat manifestations happen. You open up the curtain and something appears. You close the curtain and open it, something else happens. It intrigued me, and all those years since I was about 14, I wanted to make it. I didn't know Abbott's makes it as well. They make a different version, but this is the original one that I made, and that put me over the edge. After that, I had to incorporate skulls. I had to incorporate smoke. I had to incorporate spooky things. So that, with my mentalism, which was actually my first love, mentalism, not magic, mentalism was my first love, then I'm running with it. So that was the start. Only about 4 years, my foray into what as magicians we call bizarre magic or spooky magic.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I love bizarre magic. I started getting into it about 4 years ago or so. In the future, I have a number of bizarre performers coming on besides yourself, so we'll be talking more about that in other episodes as well. But right now, I want to go into a special portion of the show called Magic Book Corner, where you and I are going to share our current favorite books. So, hang on.
Magic Book Corner. Oh, Magic Book Corner. With Tommy Burnett. Yeah, Tommy Burnett.
That's a lot of books. A lot of books. I wish I could say I actually probably do have that many now, but it looks like a lot more in their video. The book that I originally was going to open up the sell with, oh, Joe was here, was a completely different book, but I decided on this one because I think it's an important book. It's not your typical magic book per se. It is written by a magician, but it's about how to promote yourself, and it has some really great ideas. It's called How to Successfully Sell Yourself by Paul Feder. And Paul is an amazing performer. He performs and lectures all around the world, and I've learned some really great bits of information out of here. He talks about active promoting versus passive promoting, and I've always been a lot better at the passive promoting because that means I don't have to do anything, and it wasn't until I started doing more active promoting that I actually started getting work. So I really recommend this book to anyone, whether you're just starting out or you've been in the business for a long time. It was written about 8 years ago, but it's still, the info in here is still pretty much up to date. He even gives examples of his own literature. So, like, he has his own business card there and explains why his business card works. He has postcards in here, front and back, with very little information, but all the information says you want to hire me before you hire somebody else. And it's really what it's all about. And so this is my favorite book right now. And you can get it on his website, I believe, paulfeder.com. And it usually comes for free if you buy something else. So if he has any left over, you'll probably get one, but you can also buy it. Anyway, Michael, before the show, I asked you if you had a favorite book, and you said, well, yeah, but I wrote it. And I was like, that's fine. So what book are we promoting today?
Well, you know what? I was being facetious when I said that to you.
I know that.
I know you do. But I was also thinking, my goodness, I'm not saying this to brag as well. I'm saying it because I don't get that I've written 85 books and they're on Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
Most of them are metaphysical self-help. About 20 of them are magic related, either geared towards non-magicians or magicians. And so I thought what came to mind right away, and it was staring me in my face because my bookcase is right there, right across from me, is the third in the series. This is called Psyched, and it's available on Amazon. It's had really good reviews from magicians. Now, the way I've written it, and there's tons of photographs in here, I've taken some of my best bizarre magic effects. Some are not original, some are evolutions of other effects. As you know, magic tends to work that way. And I wrote it up, explained in great detail, but yet it's general enough that lay people won't, there's no secrets revealed in here. You can read this backwards and forwards as a lay person, and they'll be intrigued by it, but they couldn't possibly know the hints and stuff I was saying, sort of the way Penn and Teller do, so they don't give away the people's secrets. It's written like that, and I love it because now I'm going to get facetious again. It's chock full of photographs, also of myself in my formative years throughout the, oh
Nice.
my goodness, was that me? And what all my Magic Mike books or Dr.
Let
Michael.
me get myself out of here. So those again. So
I feel
everyone
like I'm
could
doing a book test. You realize that, don't you? Let's stop here.
stop.
Oh, actually, that's really good because look where we stopped. We stopped at a picture of my mom and holding me up, if you can believe that. So that was pretty good. Pretty good. A little bit scary, but nonetheless, we stopped at a good place. And the one word on that page, no, we're not going to do that. There's my mom and dad in there as well. My dad was a drummer in Montreal and
Oh,
New
wow.
York way back in the day. And so there's about 70 or 80 pages of photographs. That's me at age 4. Frightening little tyke. Look how huge my head is. It's still, it hasn't shrunk at all. And here I am. I was always a little bit overweight, but who cares? And that's me in high school. I loved the Mod Squad, and I used to love to
Yeah.
dress like Pete, if
Yeah,
anybody
sure.
remembers that.
Yeah.
And here I am, grade 11.
I used to
Here
have hair like that.
am.
I used to have hair like that, but
I know,
Wow.
all of us, huh?
I actually
All of us.
used to have a tuxedo like that too. But
Oh,
yeah,
for sure, for sure.
yeah,
Those
my
were
high
incredible
school,
days.
yeah, my high school yearbook that we could have been twins. It's,
I believe that. I
it's
believe there was
absolutely
this trend in Montreal and Toronto and New York where we all had afros. We walked around with afros and maybe because I was shorter, I had those I forget what kind of platform shoes. I'd lost all my weight by then. So I must have been a frightful sight, but it was great fun as well. So yeah. So this is my book, one of my books, Psyched, available on Amazon. And you can Google it as well.
nice. Yeah.
It's
Guys, go out and get this book. It's I've read. It wasn't the same book that you sent me, was it?
no, I sent you my
Yeah,
latest one,
that's what I thought.
which
Yeah,
which I'll be
yeah,
using in one of my talks, one of my lectures in the fall at a university here, a local
nice.
university. So yeah,
Yes,
transcending.
definitely. Yeah, definitely check
Transcending.
out his books. I just want to acknowledge that we have a few people watching on Facebook. We have Roy Stone watching, and he says he loves your background. Um, our mutual friend Tony Kiviello, who says he loves both of us, so we love you too. And then the lovely Celeste Love is watching us as well, and
Yay.
she says, "Hello, handsomes." So
Uh-oh. That's you.
because
Whoops. That's
well, no, it's
you.
plural. It's plural. It's both. It's both of us.
Thank
But
you.
don't. But soon, don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Uh, um, so we have about 5 minutes left, and before we wrap this up, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. And
My pleasure.
before we go, is there anything that you've learned in your time as a musician that you would like to share to the magic community?
Thank you for your support. particularly, well, all the clubs across Canada are great. The guys are all great. And in the States as well. I've been to a few magic meetings there. So magic is also about community. It's about sharing history, props. I'm very grateful to be part of that. And also part of, and I'm going to give a plug outwardly to yours and Kevin's and Robina's 2 shows on the Tuesday Night Magic Theater on Facebook, and Open Mic Magic on the Wednesday, of which I participate as much as I can, which seems to be twice a week. And I'm grateful, and you're part of that as well. I'm so grateful for that. It gives me something to look forward to share magic.
Well, like I said before, we are extremely grateful to have you on the show. It's really not my show anymore, the Tuesday night matches. I always appreciate that they give me a credit for being one of the founders, but technically now Kevin and Robin's baby. I just perform on it, and this is my
Speaking
baby.
of your baby.
Come here.
Oh,
This is
such a
my
cutie.
baby boy. My baby boy. Yeah, this is
That could have been
Benji.
us in the 70s, Tommy, with all the fur.
I know. Well, I mean, I used to have long hair like you did too, and I kind of miss it. But oh yeah. So the other thing I wanted to say real quick is normally after this show, I'm gonna leave it open so we can all hang out a little bit if you want to. But today I have to leave like right at 5 because I promised my friend and mentor Kenton Nipper to help with his event that he's doing tonight, which is the second half of his No Equivoke workshop, which is part 1 was amazing. So I really am honored to be a part of that. But once again, Michael, I'm so glad we became friends. I'm so glad that I get to work with you on a weekly basis. I'm going to unmute everybody so now we can have everybody applaud. So let me, okay. No, wait a minute. You're going to have to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you, but unmute yourself and please give Michael Likey a big round of applause. Look at that audience. Let me go to the gallery view. Everyone is clapping for you, Michael. We all love you, and thank you
Thank
for
you so
doing
much.
thank you for doing what you do. And yeah, so we're gonna close the show with another video if I can find it. And next week, my guest will be the very funny and very wacky Saul Snyder. And I know it's going to be a great episode. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all, everyone on Facebook for watching. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been watching Mind Over Magic with Tommy Burnett. Thank you to Dr. Michael Likey, next week's guest is Mr. Charles Schneider. See you next week. Sponsored by
Every Saturday, tune in at 4 Eastern Time.
Taboo.